By a show of hands, how many of you have the desire to swim or to visit a coral reef in your lifetime? That's a lot of hands. I have that same desire as well. It's definitely on my bucket list. Hold on to that answer, and in about 7 minutes, I'll come back to it. I'm Madelei Gallo, and this is coral bleaching, the beginning of the end. So, what is coral? Coral is a marine invertebrate, which means they don't have an inner skeleton. They belong to the Cnidaria family, known for their stinging tentacles, and they are colonial organisms, which means they grow independently, but live connected. Each coral contains a polyp, which is a tube-like structure attached to their exoskeleton. There are two main types of coral. Soft coral, which is characterized by its fleshy, flexible structure, often referred to as sea fans for their appearance. And hard coral, made of rigid exoskeleton of calcium carbonate. Hard coral is what makes up our coral reefs. Another important factor to note is that coral is a part of a symbiotic relationship. Coral is symbiotic with a photosynthetic microalgae named zooxanthellae. The chief symbiotic function of zooxanthellae is to produce organic carbon that the coral uses for growth and reproductive processes. 90% of the organic carbon produced by zooxanthellae goes directly to its host coral. In return, coral polyps provide shelter for the microalgae, as well as producing the carbon dioxide and water necessary for zooxanthellae's photosynthetic processes. Coral bleaching begins to threaten this peaceful coexistence. I want to be clear. A bleach is not death itself, but it can cause death. A bleach is describing the expelling of zooxanthellae from the coral polyp due to severe environmental stress factors. Zooxanthellae and coral rely on one another, so without their attachment, both become immunocompromised. The coral begins to starve as it loses the main food source, as well as losing its vibrant colors due to the producer of these colors being the zooxanthellae microalgae. This loss of color is where the coined term bleach comes from. There are two main bleach triggers in the marine environment, and those are ocean pollutants and thermal stress factors. Coral bleaching represents the breakdown of a long co-evolutionary relationship between the coral host and its photosynthetic symbiotes. Coral bleaching has begun to end this evolutionary relationship in a sincerely inhumane fashion. Marine thermal stress is just a fancy way of describing the impact that ocean warming has on the organisms within. High temperatures create an unstable ocean environment for the zooxanthellae, and it is unable to remain inside the coral polyp. A warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius threatens to destroy 70 to 90% of all coral reefs, and a warming of 2 degrees Celsius threatens a 100% loss, a point of no return. Alongside the effects of temperature change lie the secondary factor of pollution of our oceans. Marine pollution comes in two main forms. Sedimentary pollution, which includes sediments from agricultural, urbanization, and deforestation runoff, cause a suffocating effect on the coral when it settles. This can trigger what's called rapid tissue necrosis. Rapid tissue necrosis, or RTN, refers to when the coral tissue separates from the exoskeleton of the coral. This causes an immediate bleaching and inevitably death. The second type of pollution is toxicant pollution. This includes things such as oil spills, lawn care runoff, meaning weed killers and pesticides, and plastics in our ocean. These are known to alter the pH levels of the water, and as coral use carbonate ions to build their exoskeletons, the acidity causes a lower number of carbonate ions in the water, which means coral has less access to the materials they need to build those exoskeletons, making them weaker and, once again, immunocompromised. Without intervention, while nature is extremely capable of self-healing properties, bleaching is an unnaturally inflicted process which is bound to have consequences. Coral is a foundational species in its ecosystem, and its decrease inevitably causes total decrease in the ecosystem's biodiversity. Habitat loss, loss of protection, and loss of resource all come along with the suffering of coral. Bleaching may not be death itself, but it is sure to cause extreme marine loss. Now, what can we do? Now, as large-scale and pessimistic as the issue may be, coral has a chance at survival, and we are that chance. There are so many small-scale solutions we can participate in as individuals. Examples of these solutions include choosing a reef-safe marked sunscreen when visiting tropical beaches and environments, when on vacation, or actively choosing to dispose of your waste correctly, especially when you're visiting beach location again, and going no pesticides on your lawn care to reduce the pesticide runoff. These are simple ways to help protect against the loss of our reefs. And if you're willing to commit yourself further, one of the best things you can do for our Earth and our reefs is to commit to reducing your carbon footprint. Public transportation, energy saving by using only lights and the energy you need at the time, and recycling are all great ways to do so. And your oceans will thank you. Now quickly, I'd like to go back to the question I asked in the beginning regarding the desire to witness the beauty of our great reefs. Sadly, the current trajectory for our coral populations are that they will astronomically decrease within our lives, with a possibility of extinction by 2050. So act now, or you may never have a chance. Thank you.